York's classic rock, Q1043.
I say good morning to Camila Alves McConaughey. She is the mother of 3 children. Levi is 13, and she also has a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. And she has co-written a book with Adam Mansbach, who you may have heard of. I certainly did, because in 2011, he wrote the book, Go the F to Sleep, about his 2-year-old child. So the book is called Just Try One Bite, and it's all about parents who have an aversion to healthy eating as opposed to the kids who are usually picky eaters. But Camila, before we get to the book, I have to ask you, and now in all transparency, I am speaking to Camila on Monday morning, the Monday after the Oscars. Okay, so I just have to ask you, your husband, Matthew McConaughey, won an Oscar in 2014, Best Actor for Dallas Buyers Club. And so I was thinking of you too when I saw Will Smith's reaction to Chris Rock. Everybody knows what happened, that Will Smith took off from the audience and slapped Chris Rock when Chris made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head. I did not know that she suffered from alopecia. What I did know was that earlier in the broadcast, Regina Hall had also made a crack about their open marriage. Now, I am not saying that what Will Smith did was right, but I got it. I got this reflexive, I've taken enough crap about my wife, and he just lost it. I'm just wondering, did you watch it? What was your reaction? Your husband would have done under similar circumstances.
Well, to be honest, I have no idea. And my reaction watching, I went back and I actually watched the clip, and I wasn't sure. I was like, wait, is this real, or is it part of the show? You know what I mean?
Right. Like, was it staged?
Yes, I don't know. I was like, wait, is this part of, like, again, like the show, it's all kinds of skits that happen, right? And I was like, wait, it's that part of the show? But if it was part of the show, I mean, he did really good, because at the end, you do feel like he's very passionate about it, and he's, so I honestly, I believe we will never know. We will never know, if it was a real thing or not. But to your point, I feel like, just as humans, I mean, look, if it was part of the show, they did really well, because you got a lot of us, asking that question, wait, is it real or is it not? If it was not part of the show and he genuinely had that reaction, look, we've all been there where, it just takes that one thing to kind of, tip the cup, right? And you have a reaction to it. So I honestly, I don't know, to be honest with you. And I'm still here going, wait, was it real happen, or was it part of the show?
But could you see your husband having a similar reaction? I mean, he seems to be someone who's fiercely loyal and protective.
Look, it's really no way to tell. That's a very, it's no way to say, yeah, my husband would have a same reaction, or no. Like, that's not really a place to, you know what I mean? Like, it's, again, if it was a real reaction, then, it was a real reaction. You know what I mean? He was passionate about it and protecting his wife. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. All right, let us talk about the book. The book is Just Try One Bite, and it's flipping the usual picky eater scenario, which is kids. And nobody's pickier than a kid when it comes to eating. And that, bringing up 3 kids myself, that was a big challenge. Tell us, where did this book come from? How did you get the idea, and how did you hook up with Adam Mansbach?
Yes, absolutely. So look, I have this big passion about continue the conversation with families, with ourselves about doing better for you. Right. And I had, stepped down from being part of a food company for kids. And I was like, if this conversation is so important, how can I continue doing that conversation without trying to sell product, without being preachy, without telling people what to do? And I was having the conversation with one of the agents actually, and you're like, what about a kid's book? Like that would be, because my challenge was that, as much as people are trying to do better, put things better for you things out in the marketplace, the conversations in the household are not necessarily happening on a mass scale, right? So I was like, you know what, that is a great idea, because I've never thought of writing a children's book. I never thought of having, having the book, or like, that working on it. And when we were talking, he also represents Adam, and we hit it off. And I explained to Adam, this passion that I have, the fact that I didn't want to be preachy, I didn't want to tell parents what to do, but I did want parents to have that conversation. I want it to be fun, I want it to be funny, I want it, it should be enjoyable talking about food. And he really brought it up to like such a beautiful, he brought it to life in such a beautiful way, but really the mission of this book is, it's again, I always say, I'm not here to tell parents what to feed their kids or how to feed their kids, but I am here to give a reminder that the conversation between food, how does it work in your body, what's good, what's not, where it comes from, it's extremely important. And I'm a big believer that if you start that conversation early on, you most likely are setting up your child for a lifelong of good habits versus not talking about it at all, right? And another point that I think is extremely important to bring up about this book is that we're not preaching being perfect. We do say you can have your ice cream, you can have your donut holes, right? That was extremely important for me, is you can have all those things, but it's just about having a balance, right? You can have it, not every day, just more now and then.
I am speaking with Camila Alves McConaughey. Yes, that McConaughey family, as in Oscar winner and almost ran for governor of Texas, McConaughey. So I heard that you actually were caught in the act by one of your kids when you were sneaking chocolate, and that was part of the backstory to just try one bite, your children's book.
Well, look, I when we're talking about not being perfect, right? I have, I just trying to get my kids to do better and all of that. But I had a thing with chocolate. I had my hidden stash right in the pantry up high, and I thought I was so slick. I thought I was getting away with it completely fine. And all three of them came in. It was like, got you. What are you doing? And all of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, you're right. So they actually inspired me of even, paying attention more into my self-experience. Sometimes you get so focused on what the kids need, everybody else needs in the household, and you forget about yourself. And I was like, dang, I was like, you're right. Like I have to, so I've slowly worked and retrained my palate to have a better relationship with the sweets. Like, look, I grew up with, a family of farmers. I still have a farm in Brazil with my dad into today. So the relationship of like where food, seat to table, where food comes from, was extremely clear to me growing up. But we never had the conversation about sugar. I could have as much sugar as I wanted. And up into today, the thing that I struggle with the most is sugar, right? So again, going back into having that conversation and starting early. So I went on my journey, and now I don't have the crazy stash anymore. I have a better for me chocolate that I love. It's got hazelnut inside. Still feels like a treat. I still have my chocolate, but way less, and a better for me version.
Is there any one food that you won't try just one bite of?
Okay, so look, I come from Brazil and we have crazy foods over there. Not, I shouldn't say crazy. We have different foods over there. I look, my mom, she loves chicken heart. We do have that in Brazil as
Wait a
like,
minute. How do they prepare that? How do you cook a chicken
they
heart?
put it in a skewer and they cook it as like a little barbecue thing,
Huh.
like in the grill. And I can't, that one can't do it.
And how about your kids? I have to tell you that my daughter-in-law basically makes 3 dinners almost every night.
Wow.
There's one for one kid, there's one for the other kid, and there's one for the adults. Maybe the kids will want the same thing. I don't have any answers because I struggled with it when my kids were little. So, what's the situation with your family?
Yes, it is so hard when you start going in that journey because it's just hard, like as parents, you're just trying to put food on the table, right? Like just put on the plate, everybody just eat and let's continue going, right? Like continue going. And I think that for me, this is my own personal journey. It doesn't mean it's better or worse, or it's just what I've chose to do myself. In the beginning, I remember that I started when I had, the 2 kids. With 3, I didn't even went there, but with 2 kids, I started kind of, catering to what they really wanted versus the whole family as a whole. And I started to realize that it was making them more picky than if I didn't. So I transitioned to, well, guess what? You just don't have another choice. So we're cooking a family meal. And what I started to do was, yes, I will cater to them in the sense of, let's say, if I have a salad for me and Matthew, and then if I have, let's say, I don't know, like pasta and vegetables. So instead of putting all the vegetables in the pasta with the sauce and, and put, things on the salad that maybe the kids won't eat it, I would separate. So if they want it separated, that's fine. I'm okay with that, right? So I'll leave the vegetables steam and plain on the side. Oh, okay. I'll leave the sauce on the side, and whoever wants sauce can put on top and mix it up. The salad, you don't have to have the lettuce, but can you eat the tomatoes? Can you eat the bell peppers that are in it? That kind of thing. And slowly, I think that they just realize that, oh, I don't get to just say what I want, and I gotta have with, what the family's having, and I gotta work with what's in front of me. And I think that really, I saw the changes in my kids, and it wasn't easy because we did have those moments, those nights of like, no, I'm not eating anything. I was like, okay, so you can, stay at the dinner table. You're not hungry. You don't have to eat it, but you can also not have snacks after. So, if you're not hungry, then you're not hungry for snacks neither, right? So it's a continued conversation. But I think that at the end of the day, parents have to do what works for their household. But I think that a lot of times we make it harder for us as parents than what it really needs to be, right? Because at the end of the day, what we're bringing to our household, it's what the kids eventually will get to, right? From majority of the meals. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And all right, Wikipedia is often wrong. So I'm going to ask you flat out, true or false, when you and your husband first met, it was at a club, and was it love at first sight with Matthew McConaughey, just like thunderbolts struck by you?
So we did met at a bar. I don't think it's fair to say that it was like, oh my gosh, it's love at first sight, but it was for sure something very special from the moment we met. Like we knew that something was different from previous experiences that we had, but it wasn't like, hey, I guess I could be called love at first sight. Let me put it this way. We just really knew that it was something different.
Who came up to who? Who came up to who, or were you introduced?
He came up to me, actually.
And what was his line?
I was sitting at a table. I was sitting at a table with friends, and he came. Actually, he waved across the room, and he was making margaritas, and he was like, "Hey, little margarita," and I was like, "No, thank you." And I just turned around. I had come from a relationship with somebody else in the industry, and I was just like, I don't want anybody in front of the camera. I'm done with this kind of thing. And I was like, no, thank you. And I just turned around, turned my back around. And then few minutes later, he came over, and I got a tap on my shoulder, and it was him. And we started talking, and the rest is history.
Love it. And the book, Just Try One Bite. You could read it to your real little ones, or you can have your child read it to you. It's funny. It's adorable. Thank you so much, Camila Alves McConaughey, and hope to see you soon with your next effort.
Thank you so much for having me.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.